Feminist economics analyzes the interrelationship between gender and the economy and uses a very broad range of different methods. Feminist economics addresses blind spots in economics which disregard economic realities of women. Sometimes it deals with topics which are overseen, like reproductive work or the importance of family structures for economic outcomes. In other cases, it deals with blind spots in methodology, for example when women are underrepresented in datasets. Feminist economists extend the economic concept of work to unpaid care and reproductive work, taking into account that care work is a prerequisite for any economic activity and that it is extremely time-consuming. Building on this approach, feminist economists develop concepts of how to value care work properly. They analyze the division of household work or analyze how policies affect the capacity to carry out care work.
I think that feminist economics recognizes that many of the inputs into what we call the economic system are provided for free. They're provided by either women's unpaid work, actually the unpaid work of everyone, and also they come from the natural environment.
Feminist economists know that different groups are affected differently by policies and developments and think that power relations have to be taken into account. How you are affected depends on your gender, ethnicity, or class. Feminist economists try to enrich the scientific process with methods which are informative about these differences. When it comes to the climate crisis, they pay particular attention to the fact that people from different parts of the planet or from different groups within a society are affected differently.
Feminist economics, of course, also looks at how the economy is experienced differently across genders. Gender relations actually shape individuals and communities' experience of economic processes and transformations.
Feminist economics is a school of thought which uses a very wide array of methods. Sometimes empirical analyses are enriched by feminist ideas. New variables like family structures are included. Sometimes data needs to be collected differently to avoid increasing the so-called gender data gap, which refers to the fact that there is a lot of more data and information on men than on women. In addition to that, feminist economics uses methods like surveys, case studies, or in-depth interviews. Feminist economists think that accepting only some methods, like empirical analysis, leads to blind spots because certain topics and problems cannot be investigated like that. For example, because of a lack of data, or because concepts like power cannot be measured in terms of numbers that easily. Feminist economists also think that it's important who does the research. They think that science can only address the most relevant problems if people with different backgrounds take part in the scientific process, because experiences shape research. When doing research on the climate crisis, people who are most affected, for example, people from the Global South, should be given more opportunities within the research process because they have insights people from the Global North do not have and pay attention to different aspects.
Well, we live in a patriarchal system, so any kind of feminist intervention is going to be met with resistance and challenges. The fact that they're excluded from economics or from economic policy also has to do with power.
Often, more vulnerable groups are particularly affected by the climate crisis, such that existing inequalities increase. Feminist economists put emphasis on the fact that social security systems have to be improved and that the most vulnerable groups have to be protected and empowered, suggesting a wide range of policies, like a universal basic income or a job guarantee.
Slicing up pieces of land and allocating it to particular people facilitates the kind of exploitation that causes problems from a climate sense and also from a general economic inequality sense. It's really trial and error, I suppose, that has led to common and shared pooled resources being a resilience strategy for marginalized people. In the climate crisis, we're all marginalized, right? And we need to start seeing it that way.
Within the degrowth movement, many policies which reduce the economic dependency on growth have been developed. Many of these ideas encompass paying more attention to the unpaid care sector. One example is the idea to shift more time and money to the care sector because that might increase well-being without being very carbon intensive. Also, there is evidence that household work requires less energy than buying the same service. For example, it is more climate friendly to cook than to deliver the respective food. From the point of view of feminist economists, these suggestions make it necessary to analyze the gender issues involved. It requires that housework is properly appreciated, paid, and fairly distributed. In many cases, more community-based solutions in the sphere of the household are suggested.